Okay, I want to say good morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning. For me, it's morning. Actually, it's afternoon. I woke up very late. I woke up about 12:30, midday. And that's because I was awake till late doing things that fulfill me. You know, the way I see it is we spend so many years of our lives, a lot of people, basically doing things that we don't want to be doing. You know, things that go against our personal human nature, our personal selves, and our personal human nature. And the amount of time that we put into these jobs that can be draining, you know, and wasteful of our energy. And the overall, it's like a lot of people like do it without even realizing, that they're just really just harming themselves overall. They put their lives into whatever they're doing as part of the machine of society. So yeah, we lose a lot of time. We lose a lot of time, and I've spent so long, years uh, on rubbish, basically useless things, useless thoughts and useless actions. Ultimately, because that's what it is. So it's not someone. People are under the illusion that they're going through this thing. They go to work every day and all of that. Yeah, yeah, and you earn a living, whatever that's supposed to mean. It's just sharing a little bit of my thought there, okay, with you again. So I don't believe you can earn a living from another man or woman, a person. Um, why should you have to earn your, as they say, birthright? Yeah, you're given living when you're born. You're given a life, and why should you then have to re-earn that back like it's in someone's hands? And people that are just as people that are just as human as you, who are given the powers to be above, that you may be not able to eat, that you may starve to death, so you have to earn a living. You may think I'm being very unrealistic and living in fairyland. No, this system, the society system, was invented. Excuse me. So, whether I get all philosophical with you guys, or whether I just be, you know, just down to earth, logical, however you want to see it, I'm being logical, and that's the whole reason we're doing what we're doing here, looking at certain books, look into where there may be things that may help our thinking to see things better. I mean, I'm very clear without looking at this book, we're going to be looking at again. But as I was saying, I know where I stand on nature and truth. However, we've got this clutter, we've got this thing that's always in the way, this maze that's been dropped on us. We were in a completely open, free field. It's like we were cows in the field, all of us, and we were just in this big open field. And then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a big maze dropped down on us, and different ones were. Each of us was spread out within this maze, and we had to find ourselves finding our way around, confused because of the walls everywhere and the corridors. That's not the way it is. Life shouldn't be a maze trying to find the way out. Life shouldn't be a fight trying to breathe, eat, and drink and have energy in your body. You should not be lacking in energy for anything other than at least just you and your natural given earth, that we are all part of. You know what I mean? So like we are on the planet Earth, yeah. It's like an apple on the tree, or an orange on the tree, growing from that tree per se. Sunlight the Earth should should the Earth pay to get sunlight? Should it earn the right to have? You know what I'm saying? It should be instant as gravity, as light and shadow, as the things which are right for the pores of your skin, how everything grows, But to be putting prices on things and saying you have to do this, this, and this unnatural things invented in the minds of madmen, mad people, to control you, regardless of how much time or energy, which is what your life is just spent, chucked down the drain, and those minutes and hours are worth that X amount of money. That's just wrong. So for me, I spend a lot of time, when I can in my free time, doing things that are more meaningful, things I enjoy, things that even to say this word enjoy seems wrong. To say I enjoy, I do the things which I enjoy. See, I don't say hobbies, I say passions, but I say I enjoy them. But it seems to be wrong to even say enjoy, because I do enjoy them, but it shouldn't be that all of the time you're doing a load of shit, bad stuff, excuse my language, just crap, and then you do some stuff you enjoy. I mean, you should enjoy your whole life. It should be a natural thing. Now, fair enough, we've got to know what is the feeling of the negative stuff in order to know what's positive, right? What feels good. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, though. Balance this out. Please excuse me if I do need to blow my nose or clear my throat, okay? Anyway, in these particular videos on this topic here, I'm not planning to be like sharing too much of my thoughts in these videos, because I will be making more videos anyway where I'm sharing my thoughts on life, my philosophy. But there's a lot of things that reflect in different areas, and things I find very similar or the same in some of the areas around the ways of which Krishnamurti is thinking here. So he's got his own way of explaining things. So let's get to this. We're going to continue. So if you watched the last video, I read the foreword by Huxley, Aldous Huxley. Okay, and this book is called First and Last Freedom. Okay, by Jiddu Krishnamurti, and we're reading this book. If I can select it here. See you later. Okay, so it's a good book, I must say. This one here, I was happy with how the last video came out. So let's just get straight to it. The First and Last Freedom by Jiddu Krishnamurti, 1953. Try to pronounce his name right, as I say. Okay, so we read the foreword by Aldous Huxley. Now we're going to start with chapter 1, the introduction. Okay. So it's got, as I say, if you don't include the foreword, which is something which is there to be read, and it's quite interesting to read that foreword. We read that in the last video. But yeah, we've got literally 21 chapters. Each chapter lasts of a few pages, whatever. Not too sure exactly, but yeah, 21. I got 21 chapters to go. 21 chapters to go. So 21 chapters plus the foreword, so that's like 22. And then we've also got these questions. It says here, questions. And how many of those are there? We've got, let's check it again. 38 questions with their answers. So But basically 60, you would say 60 chapters. I don't know how long the questions last pages wise, but 60 different parts to read there. So let's get straight to it, because I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time. Let's check this is recording okay. Yeah, so I've spent 10 minutes talking so far. Let's get straight to it, okay? So the introduction, let's get to reading it. Moving along. So you can see it's quite a lot of reading. Just the forward there. I wish I could just click on the names of the titles of the chapters and go to them. Right, the first and last, freedom. Don't forget you can check out the website. His website there. You'll see on the screen. Just below my video there. That you see that? Just above, sorry, not that. The address I'm saying, just below the here, you see that? That's the address www. Yeah. And then we go down to chapter 1. So let's begin. Now, this is food for thought. So it really is good for the mind, you know. So I'm going to be reading this nicely and good. I'm going to try to read it nice and carefully as we're looking at this together, okay? So let's look at it together. Okay? I'll try and think about it as I'm reading. Like I say, a lot of times when you read this stuff, or read anything, or study anything, the best thing to do is you might like come back again at some point and read it again. It's like watching a movie as well, same thing. And you learn something different each time sometimes. Now, if you take your time on things, stop and think about it, that's the best thing. Give your mind some, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to keep stopping, I'm just going to read, okay? The intro's pretty long already, I know, but I don't want to say I'm just going on, waffling on. I believe I'm sharing useful points with you guys. We've got to be more human and in a state of clearness, you know. Let's get to this. Okay, so I'm trying to picture Krishnamurti in his voice. I'm trying to imagine him. When I'm reading this, I can hear him in my mind reading. So I'm not trying to do his voice, but I'm not going to do his voice the way he speaks very nice and clearly, I know. But you know his voice. Don't forget to watch his videos online. There's a lot of Krishnamurti videos. He's got channels dedicated to him. Lots of interesting interviews and talks that he's had with people over the years, one-on-one and to groups. One thing with Krishnamurti is I always loved his discussions that he gets into with people, where he really tries to get people to think and listen. He listens to them, asks them what they think, speaks back. He doesn't only do like talks on a stage where he's just giving a speech. He tries to engage, and he tries to find what's going on find out what's going on in the minds of other people. Like when they're speaking, he'll ask them, "What do you think?" And the person will hesitate because they think that he's trying to catch them out, because we're so used to that in society, traps and stuff. And he's like, "Well, it's not as easy as that." And he's like, "No, what do you think?" You're trying to ask him, what are the boundaries you're setting yourself? What are these hurdles you're giving yourself? These challenges, these locked doors in your mind. Just be free in your thought. But the crazy thing is, the world we're living in now, this 1984 George Orwellian style, what some places around the world are trying to build more of a nightmare for people, is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The unnatural dictation. It's really insane, crazy, mad, and fearful. Anyway, look, we're human. We need to be in the power of nature. That's truth. That's life. If I have to clear my nose or my throat a little bit in this video, please do excuse me, okay? And I'll try to read this the best I can. I'm not the best reader or writer. I'll do what I can do, right, for this video. You can always pick up this book and and get hold of it, the information yourself, like anything. If you want, let's look at it. Okay, here we go. Ready? So chapter 1, introduction. And I was going to put music in, like the first video, and I looked at it and I thought it's not worth it. Let's have it quiet and just focus. You don't want to be distracted. We want to focus on this. I was going to put some like peaceful music and stuff, but let's just read it. I might do that with my videos anyway, my other videos. Okay. I've got the hat on today. Quite comfortable wearing it, that's the main reason. And also my hair's a damn mess because I've just woken up. It's a bit silly, but... Okay, let's keep it real. I've got my tea there. Have you got some tea or coffee? Good. I've got tea there. Sometimes I have coffee too. Let's get straight to it. Chapter 1. Introduction. Okay, ready? This is Krishnamurti's words. Let me see if I can pause this for a second. Let me see if it's possible to pause this. Doesn't seem like it is possible to pause it. Okay, let's look quickly. Okay. To communicate with one... Okay, sorry. Again. To communicate with one another, even if we know each other very well, it is extremely difficult. Okay. Do you feel that, guys? Well, we can talk about this, as I say. We can talk about it in other videos. You know what I mean? We can talk about it in many different ways, in other different times, right? Let's just look at this case. So he says this: to communicate with one another, even if we know each other very well, it is extremely difficult. I may use words that may have I may have words that may have to you a significance different from mine. Understanding comes when we, you and I, meet on the same level at the same time. That's true. It's not the work that goes in. Okay, I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to say my thoughts. I'm just going to read it. A lot of it I agree with. Most of the time I get what he's saying. Okay. That happens only when there is real affection between people, between husband and wife, between intimate friends. That is real communion. Instantaneous understanding comes when we meet on the same level at the same time. It is very difficult to commune with one another easily, effectively, and with definitive action. I am using words which are simple, which are not technical, because I do not think that there are, so that any technical type of expression is going to help us solve our difficult problems. So I am not going to use any technical terms. Excuse me. Terms. Either of psychology or of science. I have not read any books on psychology or any religious books, fortunately. I would like to convey by the very simple words which we use in our daily life a deeper significance, but that is very difficult if you do not know how to listen. There is an art of listening. To be able really to listen. Excuse me. One should abandon or put aside all prejudices, pre-formulations, and daily activities. When you are in a receptive state of mind, things can be easily understood. You are listening when your real attention is given to something, but unfortunately, most of us listen through a screen of resistance. We are screened with prejudices, whether religious or spiritual, psychological or scientific, or with our daily worries, desires, and fears. And with these for a screen, we listen. Therefore, we listen really to our own noise, to our own sound, not to what is being said. It is extremely difficult to put aside our training, our prejudices, our inclination, our resistance, and reaching beyond the verbal expression to listen to so that we understand instantaneously. It's not enough instantaneousness in understanding. Okay. That is going to be one of our difficulties. If during this discourse anything is said which is opposed to your way of thinking and belief, just listen. Do not resist. You may be right and I may be wrong. But by listening and considering together, we are going to find out what is the truth. Truth cannot be given to you by somebody. You have to discover it. And to discover, there must be a state of mind in which there is direct perception. Direct perception. There is no direct perception when there is a resistance, a safeguard, a protection. Understanding comes through being aware of what is. Okay, what is. To know exactly what is the real, the actual, without interpreting it, without condemning or justifying it, is surely the beginning of wisdom. It is only when we begin to interpret, to translate according to our conditioning, according to our prejudice, that we miss the truth. After all, it is like research. To know what something is, what it is exactly, requires research. You cannot translate it according to your moods. Similarly, if we can look, observe, listen, be aware of what is exactly, then the problem is solved. And that is what we are going to do in all these discourses. I am going to point out to you what is, and not translate it according to my fancy, nor should you translate it or interpret it according to your background or training. It's very difficult to do. So let me just say, it's very difficult to do. Me and my brother Wayne, if you're watching Wayne, me and my brother Wayne were talking about that recently, like fairly recently, where everyone's truth is true to them. So even though Krishnamurti is saying that, it's very hard to do because we're basing all of our communication on what we're thinking usually, right? What we believe to be truth. Even when we believe we're being honest, it's through a kind of a screen of sorts, like Krishnamurti is saying, yeah. It's got our own flavour and kind of thing. So it's a crazy thing. So it's quite difficult to do. But I know what he's saying. He's saying just see and observe, from seeing and hearing, and work with the information rather than the inner thought up, pre-arranged thoughts. Okay, let's get to this. Let's get to it, y'all. Okay, here we go. It is not possible, then, to be aware of everything as it is. Starting from there, surely there can be an understanding. To acknowledge, to be aware of, to get at that which is puts an end to struggle. If I know that I am a liar, then and it is a fact which I recognize, then the struggle is over. To acknowledge, to be aware of what one is already the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of understanding, which releases you from time. Wow, it does actually. And energy. To bring, or the absence of both, losing. Yeah, if you do this, it will save your time and energy. You won't waste your time and energy. To bring in the quality of time. Time, not in the chronological sense, but as the medium, as the psychological process, the process of the mind is destructive and creates confusion. So we can have understanding of what is when we recognize it without condemnation, without justification, without identification. So, to know that one is in a certain condition, in a certain state, is already a process of liberation. But a man who is not aware of his condition, of his struggle, tries to be something other than he is. Same for women too, right? Unless he's getting towards something else later on in here, I don't know, but yeah, it should be the same, right? Okay, struggles to tries to be something other than he is, right? So let's read that again. It says from but there to the bottom right hand corner of my video there, just here. It says, but a man who is not aware of his condition, of his struggle, tries to be something other than he is, which brings about habit. So then let us keep in mind that we want to examine what is, to observe and be aware of exactly what is the actual, without giving it any slant, without giving it an interpretation. It needs an extraordinary astute mind, an extraordinary pliable heart to be aware of and to follow what is. Because what is constantly moving. Yep. Like nature, say the way nature. Constantly moving, right? Constantly undergoing a transformation. And if the mind is tethered to belief, to knowledge, it ceases to pursue, it ceases to follow the swift movement of what is. Movement of what is. What is not static, surely. It is constantly moving, as you will see if you observe it very closely. To follow it, you need a very swift mind and a pliable heart, which are denied when the mind is static, fixed in a belief, in a prejudice, in an identification. And the mind and heart that are dry cannot follow easily, swiftly, that which is. One is aware, I think, without too much discussion, too much verbal expression, that there is individual as well as collective chaos, confusion and misery. It is not only in India, but right throughout the world, in China, America, England, Germany, all over the world, there is confusion, mounting sorrow. It is not only national, it is not particularly here, it is all over the world. There is extraordinary acute suffering, and it is not individual, not, as I said, it is not individual only, but collective. So it is a world catastrophe, yes. Okay, so it's a world catastrophe. And to limit it merely to a geographical area, a coloured section of the map, is absurd, because then we shall not understand the full significance of this worldwide, as well as individual suffering. Being aware of this confusion, what is our response today? How do we react? There is suffering. Political, social, religious, our whole psychological being. So again, there is suffering. Political, social, religious. Our whole psychological being is confused, and all the leaders, political and religious, have failed us. All the books have lost their significance. You may go to the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the latest treatise on politics or psychology, and you will find that they have lost that ring, that quality of truth. They have become mere words. You yourself, who are the repeater of those words, are confused and uncertain. Yep. A lot of people. And mere repetition of words conveys nothing. It conveys nothing. Therefore, the words and the books have lost their value. That is, if you quote the Bible or Marx or the Bhagavad Gita as you who quote it are yourself uncertain, confused. Your repetition becomes a lie, because what is written there becomes mere propaganda, and propaganda is not truth. So when you repeat, okay, hold on. So when you repeat, you have ceased to understand your own state of being. You are merely conveying with words of authority your own confusion. Wow. But what we are trying to do is to understand this confusion and not cover it up with quotations. So what is your response to it? How do you respond to this extraordinary chaos? This confusion is uncertainty. This confusion, this uncertainty of existence. Be aware of it. As I discuss it, follow not not my words, but the thought which is active in you. Okay. Most of us are accustomed to the spectators, to be spectators and not to partake in the game. We read books, but we never write books. It has become our tradition, our national and universal habit to be the spectators, to look on at the football game, to watch the public politicians and orators. We are merely the outsiders looking on, and we have lost the creative capacity. Therefore, we want to absorb and partake. But if you are merely observing, if you are merely spectators, you will lose entirely the significance of this discourse, because this is not a lecture which you are to listen to from force of habit. I'm not going to give you information which you can pick up in an encyclopedia, which we are trying. So what we are trying to do is to follow each other's thoughts, to pursue as far as we can, as profoundly as we can, the intimations and responses of our own feelings. So please Find out what your response is to this cause, to this suffering, not to what somebody else's words are, but how you yourself respond. Your response is one of indifference. If you benefit by suffering, by the chaos, if you derive profit from it, either economic, social, political, or psychological, therefore you do not mind if this chaos continues. Surely, the more trouble there is in the world, the more chaos, the more one seeks security. The more chaos, the more one seeks security. Haven't you noticed it? When there is confusion in the world, psychologically, and in every way, you enclose yourself in some kind of security, either that of a bank account or that of an ideology, or else you turn to prayer. You go to the temple, which is really escaping from what is happening in the world. More and more sects are being formed, more and more isms. Yeah, you see, the isms are springing up all over the world because the more confusion there is, the more you want a leader, somebody who will guide you out of this mess. So you turn to the religious books or to one of the latest teachers, or else you act and respond according to a system which appears to have to solve the problem. A system either of the left or of the right. That is exactly what is happening. Excuse me. The moment you are aware of confusion, of exactly what is, you try to escape from it. Those sects which offer you a system for the solution of suffering, economic, social, or religious, are the worst, because then system becomes important and not man. Whether it be a religious system or a system of the left or of the right, system becomes important. The philosophy, the idea becomes important, and not the man, and not man. And for the sake of the idea, of the ideology, you are willing to sacrifice all mankind, which is exactly what is happening in the world. This is not merely by interpretations. If you observe, you will find that is exactly what is happening. The system has become important. Therefore, as the system has become important, men, you and I, lose significance. So all people, men and women. And the controllers of the system, whether religious or social, whether of the left or of the right, assume authority, assume power, and therefore sacrifice you, the individual. That is exactly what is happening. Now, what is the cause of this confusion, this misery? How did this misery come about, this suffering, not only inwardly but outwardly, this fear and expectation of war, the Third World War that is breaking out? What is the cause of it? Surely it indicates the collapse of all moral, spiritual values and the glorification of all sensual values. Hold on. Yeah. All the value of things made by the hand or by the mind. What happens when we have no other values except the value of the things of the senses, the value of the products of the mind, of the hand or of the machine? So the value of the products of the mind or the hand or of the machine. The more significance we give to the sensual value of things, the greater the confusion. Is it not? Again, this is not my theory. You do not have to quote books to find out that your values, your riches, your economic and social existence are based on things made by the hand or by the mind. So we live and function and have our being steeped in sensual values, which means that the things of the mind, the things of the hand, and of the machine have become important. And when things become important, belief becomes predominantly significant, which is exactly what is happening in the world, is it not? Thus, giving more and more significance to the values of the series of the senses brings about confusion, and being in confusion, we try to escape from it through various forms, whether religious, economic, or social, or through ambition, through power, through the search for reality. But the real is near. You do not have to seek it, and the man who seeks truth will never find it. Truth is in what is, and that is the beauty of it. But the moment you conceive it, the moment you seek it, you begin to struggle, and a man who struggles cannot understand. That is why we have to be still, observant, passionately aware. We seek that our living, our action is always within the field of destruction. See? We see that our living, not seek, we see that our living, our action is always within the field of destruction, within the field of sorrow, like a wave, confusion and chaos always overtake us. There is no interval in the confusion of existence. Let me just say very quickly, I want to say, sorry guys, next door, my neighbours next door are shouting and arguing in the background, so I hope you don't hear too much noise in the background, okay? They've been doing that the whole year, more or less. It's just a noisy family next door. Problems in the mind of the psychology there. Let's continue reading anyway. Try to focus on what I'm saying and the words here. Krishnamurti's words, okay? Interesting. Whatever we do at present seems to lead to chaos, seems to lead to sorrow and unhappiness. Look at your own life and you will see that our living is always on the border of sorrow. Our work, our social activity, our politics, the various gatherings of nations to stop war, all produce further war. Destruction follows in the wake of living. Whatever we do leads to death. Yeah, hold on. Okay. That is what is actually taking place. Can we stop this misery at once and not go on always being caught by the wave of confusion and sorrow? That is, great teachers, whether the Buddha or the Christ, have come. They have accepted faith, making themselves perhaps free from confusion and sorrow, but they have never prevented sorrow. They have, hold on, they've never prevented sorrow, he's saying, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've never prevented it. Hold on. They have never stopped confusion. Confusion goes on, sorrow goes on. If you, seeing this social and economic confusion, this chaos, this misery, withdraw into what is called the religious life and abandon the world, you may feel that you are joining these great teachers, but the world goes on with its chaos. its misery and destruction, the everlasting suffering of its rich and poor. So our problem, yours and mine, is whether we can step out of this misery instantaneously. If living in the world you refuse to be part of it, you will help others out of this chaos. What's that? Let's see it again. It says, if living in the world you refuse to be part of it, so if living in the world you refuse to be part of it, you will help others out of this chaos. Not in the future, not tomorrow, but now. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Surely that is our problem. War is probably coming. More destructive, more appalling in its form. I'm just reading it from my own. I'm just trying to understand it while I'm reading. Sorry for reading a bit slowly. Okay, surely we cannot prevent it because the issues are much too strong and too close. But you and I can perceive the confusion and misery immediately, can we not? We must perceive them, and then we shall be in a position to awaken the same understanding of truth in another. Yeah. In other words, can you be instantaneously free? Because that is the only way out of this misery. Perception can take place only in the present, but if you say, I will do it tomorrow, the wave of confusion overtakes you. And you are then always involved in confusion. Yeah. Now, it is possible to come to that state when you yourself perceive the truth instantaneously and therefore put an end. So it's a question. Now, is it possible to come to that state when you yourself perceive the truth instantaneously and therefore put an end to confusion? I say that it is, and that it is the only possible way. Yeah, only possible way. I say it can be done and must be done, not based on supposition or belief, supposition or belief, to bring about this extraordinary revolution, which is not the revolution to get rid of the capitalists and install another group, to bring about this wonderful transformation, which is the only true revolution, is the problem. Okay, to bring about this wonderful transformation, which is the only true revolution, is the problem. What is generally called revolution is merely the modification or the continuance. Let's read that again. What is generally called revolution is merely the modification or the continuance of the right according to the ideas of the left. Yeah. Yeah. The left, after all, is the continuation of the right in a modified form. If the right is based on sensual values, the left is but a continuance of the same sensual values, different only in degree or expression. Therefore, true revolution can take place only when you, the individual, become aware in your relationship to another. Surely what you are in your relationship to another, to your wife, your child, your boss, your neighbor, is society. Society by itself is non-existence. Yeah. Society is. Hold on. Hold on. Society is what you and I in our relationship have created. It is the outward projection of all our own inward psychological states. So if you and I do not understand ourselves, merely transforming the outer, which is the projection of the inner, has no significance whatsoever, and is that is, there can be no significant alteration or modification in society, so long as I do not understand myself in relation to you. Being confused in my relationship, I create a society which is the replica, the outward expression of what I am. This is an obvious fact which we can discuss. We can discuss whether society, the outward expression, has produced me or whether I have produced society. It is not therefore. Is it not therefore an obvious fact that what I am in my relationship to another creates society, and that without radically transforming myself, then there can be no transformation of the essential function of society. Then we look to a system for the transformation. So when we look to a system for the transformation of society, we are merely evading the question, because a system cannot transform man. Man always transforms the system, which history shows until I, in relationship to you, understand myself. I am the cause of chaos, misery, destruction, fear, brutality. Understanding myself is not a matter of time. I can understand myself at this very moment if I say I shall understand myself tomorrow. I am bringing in chaos, if I say that, okay. I'm bringing in chaos and misery. My action is, destructive. You know what the moment I say that I shall understand, I bring in the same element, and hold on. So the moment I say that I shall understand, yeah, I bring in the time element, and so am already caught up in the wave of confusion and destruction. Understanding is now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is for the lazy mind, the sluggish mind, the mind that is not interested when you are interested in something. You do it when you are interested in something. So when you are interested in something, you do it instantaneously. There is immediate understanding, immediate transformation. If you do not change now, you will never change, because the change that takes place tomorrow is merely a modification. It is not transformation. Transformation can only take place immediately. The revolution is now, not tomorrow. When that happens, you are completely without a problem, for then the self is not worried about itself. Then you are beyond the wave of destruction. Okay, we've finished chapter 1. I want to say I'm very, very sorry for stopping, stuttering, murmuring, kind of getting distracted in thoughts. The roughness of my reading today. I really am sorry for that. But then we read that chapter, right? Chapter 1. Very fascinating So I may give a brief few words on my thoughts on it sometimes, as I say, I might do that. Sometimes I'll do that. We'll see. Maybe not every time, we'll see. But I'll just say this. Yeah, he was talking about the inner mind and people really understanding themselves. He was talking about why people are so confused and why we are creating such a fake, harmful, illogical, irrational society. And this is what I'm always talking about in my videos, my other videos. My videos, usually that's what I'm always talking about. Yeah. There's the website, so if you want to see the website there. So that's what we read today. What did you think of it? Feel free to discuss things in the comment section down below. Hit that subscribe button, I say. It's an angle, it's a direction. It's sometimes we're so distracted with angles of thought. So he was teaching. He was trying to express that we should be aware in our focus. Awareness is the root of focus, I would say, rather than focus as the root of awareness, which is a perception, true experience. Through awareness being the root of focus. In our conversations, speaking and listening in different ways. Yeah, but as I say, down below the comment, you've got the comment section down below. You want to leave any comments? Feel free. But what's a comment without discussion? Yeah, in terms of with your mind too. It should be instantaneous. If it's instantaneous, boom, you might be faster than ChatGPT. Excuse me if that sounds really funny. This is the year 2025, okay, when ChatGPT AI stuff is like the thing, They've probably got people looking back on this thinking, what's that, Years to come, but yeah. But yeah, get discussing down below in the comment section. Say your thoughts on things. Look at your thought before you say it from two sides. Look at it from the opposite side of it too, Question it. Observe, look at it, and then put that question out there and just hear what's said. You can answer each other in the comments, discuss. Don't argue, just get some kind of discussion going, you know what I mean? If you're talking about this stuff. Many people just put a comment out there and walk away, that's it. You know what I mean? Or they'll hear yours and just say, shut up. That's nothing. No, listen to two sides of things, You may have two opposing views, books, If you read both of them, you get an overall vision of how you're thinking, Don't get lost trying to find a side, Find your way in truth, because truth is the way. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And more videos to come. Take care. We'll continue on this. This should be a playlist, as I say. In the future, I will try not to ramble too much in the intros and outros and all that. We just read it very nicely and look at it together. Okay? Hope you enjoy that. Take care, yeah? Good. 1 hour. That took just under an hour. Wow. Okay.